rock. Not a bullet, not a crash, just a rock kicked up off the highway. And within 15 seconds, a $240,000 engineering achievement can be dead on the side of the road. That's the number nobody puts in the brochure. Somewhere between $42,000 and $76,000, if it happens outside warranty. One pebble, in exactly the wrong spot, underneath exactly the wrong car. That car is the 2026 BMW M4. And before we get to the part where it's one of the most thrilling performance coupes money can buy right now, and it is, we need to talk about the part almost nobody mentions in the first 30 seconds of a review. Here's why people want this car so badly. The M4 sits in a strange, almost nostalgic position in 2026. It's a twin-turbo, straight-six, rear-BS sports coupe in a world quietly sliding toward batteries and motors. BMW has actually extended its production run out to July of 2029, which tells you something. This isn't a car being phased out. It's a car being milked for every last mile of relevance before the switch flips. Under the hood, every single trim, from the cheapest to the most expensive, you get the same 3.0-liter twin-turbo inline-six, internally known as the S58. The base manual coupe makes 473 horsepower. Step up to the competition automatic and you're at 503. Go all in on the X-Drive all-wheel drive competition, and this year's update pushes it to 523 horsepower, a genuine bump over the outgoing car. And the number that actually matters on a stoplight, 3.4 seconds to 60, in the all-wheel drive competition. That's supercar territory from a decade ago, wearing a business casual suit. But here's the first thing that surprises people. The manual version, the one enthusiasts say they want, isn't the fast one. It's intentionally slower. Why would BMW handicap the car people romanticize the most? Because the 6-speed manual gearbox physically cannot survive the torque the automatic puts down. Engineers capped the manual at 406 pound-feet, versus 479 on every automatic trim, because past that number, the clutch starts slipping and the gear teeth start shearing under repeated hard launches. It's not marketing, it's mechanical self-preservation. Choosing the manual means choosing feel over speed, on purpose, by BMW's own design. So the car is fast. Everyone agrees on that. Car and driver, Motor Trend, Edmunds, Top Gear, total agreement across the board that the engine, the transmission logic, and the all-wheel drive system are exceptional. But that's where the agreement ends. Where the reviews start arguing is everywhere the car touches daily life. Steering feel, ride quality, and especially, the interior controls. That's actually the perfect place to start the real story, because this is where the professional reviews stop and the owner experience begins. Roughly a third of long-term owners describe the ride on rough city streets as genuinely tiring. Not on the track. There, the suspension is flawless. It's the daily commute over broken pavement where the adaptive dampers, even in their softest setting, start delivering sharp vertical hits that wear you down over a normal week of driving. Then there's the screen. BMW moved to iDrive 8.5 this year, a beautiful curved dual display setup. But in the process, physical climate control buttons disappeared entirely into a touch bar. Owners consistently report the same frustration. Trying to adjust the fan speed or seat heat at 70 miles an hour now takes multiple taps on a screen, instead of one blind reach for a knob. But here's what surprised us the most digging through owner forums. The thing people expected to hate, they didn't. That aggressive vertical grille that lit up every comment section when this car launched. Owners say it disappears completely within about 60 days of ownership. The controversy is a social media problem, not an ownership problem. The real regret shows up somewhere else entirely, in the options list. Take the carbon ceramic brakes. $8,500 on the order sheet, and they sound like a no-brainer upgrade. Except carbon ceramic rotors don't fail from where the way iron ones do. They fail from thermal oxidation, breaking down internally after sustained high heat. Great for the track, almost pointless for the street. And when they do need replacing, a full four-corner job at the dealer can run $15,000 to $17,000. It's no surprise that a large slice of owners quietly convert back to iron rotors using the original calipers, saving themselves the vast majority of that cost. Now here's the mechanic side of the story, and it's the one that should genuinely change how you think about this car. The S58 engine itself is remarkably tough. Forged crank, closed deck block, a 3D printed cylinder head core for cooling. BMW actually fixed the old spunkcrank hub problem from the previous S55 engine entirely. On paper, this is one of the most durable performance engines BMW has built. But there's a design decision underneath the front bumper that mechanics keep flagging. The oil cooler sits horizontally, low, exposed, with less than 4.5 inches of ground clearance, protected by nothing but a thin plastic guard. BMW put it there deliberately, to use ground effect airflow for cooling. The trade-off is that a rock, a pothole edge, even minor tire debris, can puncture it. Once that happens, oil pressure collapses within seconds, and the warning light on the dash often appears only after bearing damage has already started. That's why the enthusiast community treats an aftermarket skid plate as close to mandatory, installed on day one, before the car even leaves the dealership lot. And it's not the only red flag in the paperwork. There's an active service bulletin for main bearing shell peeling, serious enough that BMW issued a delivery stop on certain production windows. There's a recall tied to a battery cable connection that can loosen enough to cause stalling or an electrical fire risk. There's a documented creak from the rear wheel arch that needed a structural fix. None of these are hidden information, they're sitting right in NHTSA's public filings, but almost nobody mentions them in a glowing first drive video. So does that mean avoid the car entirely? Not even close. It means avoid specific build windows. If you're shopping for one of these, the sweet spot is clear. The 2026 model year itself is the strongest choice. It carries the LCI styling, the updated software, and the power bump on the all-wheel drive competition. What you want to steer clear of are cars built in that late 2021 through early 2025 window, where the bearing and brake fluid bulletins concentrate. Inside the current lineup, the Competition X-Drive Coupe is the one to buy. It's faster, it's more usable in bad weather, and the 20 extra horsepower isn't marketing fluff. It shows up on the stopwatch. The rear-wheel drive competition, meanwhile, is the trim to skip. You save about $5,000 and lose the traction, the power, and 0.4 of a second, for buyers who aren't committed to the manual experience anyway. And if the manual is what you actually want, the base coupe, kept simple, with the practical options rather than the flashy ones. That's arguably the smartest build on the whole order sheet. Keep the carbon roof, skip the ceramic brakes, skip the carbon bucket seats unless you're tracking the car regularly, and add the parking sensors so you don't scrape that low front lip on your own driveway. Because that's really what this car rewards. Not the buyer chasing the biggest number on the spec sheet. The buyer who understands exactly what they're getting into, the brilliance of that engine, the seriousness of that oil cooler, and the difference between a car built for Instagram and a car built for a decade of ownership. Fit the skid plate, skip the ceramic brakes unless you track it, and drive it the way BMW's engineers clearly intended, hard, often, and with your eyes open.